everyone, in today's video I am going to be talking about my experience with semi-hydroponics after over a year now. I want to put out a disclaimer that I am not an expert when it comes to any plants, any plant diagnosing, anything with semi-hydroponics. This is my journey and my own experience, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Everything that I said in my first hydroponics video I still stand by, and I also asked on my Instagram if you guys had any questions for this particular video, and I got some great questions, so I'll go ahead and start answering those. For the first question, how do I start with semi-hydro? Is there more that goes into it, and what are the benefits? I'm not going to answer any broad questions like how to get started in semi-hydroponics, because that will basically be a repeat of my first semi-hydroponics videos. So if you don't know already or haven't seen them, I have an entire playlist called semi-hydroponics. In there you'll find the tools that you'll need to get started, and of course I always recommend doing some more research on top of my own videos, and I am not an expert. This is just everything that I have been doing that works for me. To answer the question if there's more that goes into semi-hydroponics, do you mean there's more than just clay balls and water? Yes, there's definitely more that goes into it because it includes pH and nutrients as well. So the benefits of semi-hydro, I have another video called Semi-Hydroponics Pros and Cons. I feel like the past year it has made my plant care routine much more tolerable, because once you have the plant already transitioned into the medium, you basically notice your plant's health. How does it look? Just as you would in soil. When you're checking on the water level, you just look at the water level. You don't have to stick your finger in there, use a moisture meter, anything like that. There's either water/nutrients in the reservoir or there isn't. So I like that benefit. Also, I've noticed a decreased risk of pests. I will get into that because I know that's another question. The next question, are there any plants you think are not suited for semi-hydroponics? I have heard calatheas kind of have a hard transition over to semi-hydroponics, but there are a lot of people who have also had really good experiences with it. So I'm not saying that calatheas aren't suited for it, because there are also people who have tried to convert the same plants that I have in semi-hydroponics, and they for some reason struggle with it. Because if you are able to provide the right environment for your plant, meaning the right nutrients, humidity, light conditions, all of that always comes into play whether or not you're going to be able to take care of a certain plant in your own home. To answer that question, I don't think there's any plant that I'm going to say, no, you cannot put this into semi-hydroponics. But then again, all of the plants that I have put into semi-hydro has been an experiment, because I do get questions in my DMs, which it's a little overwhelming sometimes, because people will ask me to diagnose their plant issues, because I am not there with you when you're actually doing the transition, right? You might do something differently than me, and it's really hard to pinpoint for each and every person how you're doing the transition. So that's another reason why I'm not going to say that a certain plant is not going to do well in semi-hydroponics. There's too many variables in it. Are you on your first bottle of nutrients for your first year? That's a really good question, because I don't think I would have thought to answer that question, but yes I am. I don't even think I'm halfway through yet. The general hydroponics grow solution, I am on my first for everything. I have not repurchased anything yet. The only thing that I am running, I guess the lowest on, is my pH down, not my pH up. I've only used that like once because I put in too much pH down to begin with. As for the nutrients, nope, I'm on my first one. And Super Thrive, I'm still on my first bottle. The pH testing solution, still my first bottle. While it is a cost up front for everything, I think it lasts a while, unless you're switching out your nutrients more often than I am. I'm still doing, I try to do every 2 weeks for replacing my nutrients. Sometimes I get lazy and I do every 3 weeks. Just know that leaving it for longer in the solution, if you're gonna space out your flush days more, it's gonna be rising in pH. I haven't noticed a difference with me waiting like 3 weeks though, just depending on how busy I am, because I get busy. How many liters of hydroton have you bought in total? I buy my leca from IKEA, so it comes in, I want to say, a 5-liter bag. I have purchased 1, 2, maybe 6. I don't have the world's biggest plant collection, so keep that in mind too. I have, I think, around 30-ish. You can keep reusing the leca, so another way that it's cost effective. Which plants have transitioned well to semi-hydro and which have not? I haven't had any plants that don't do well in semi-hydro. If you've seen my plant collection, I stick to the same genus. I love philodendrons, I love monsteras, I have some pothos, syngoniums, fiddly fig. I haven't had any plants that I say failed because of semi-hydro. If if you have gnats or insects and what you do. Since switching, I have not had any gnat infestations. I have said in my videos before that a benefit is that you get a decreased risk of pests. I have never said that switching to semi-hydro will completely get rid of pests, because I still have some plants in soil, so I notice that there are like dead gnats in my nutrient water sometimes, but it's not like able to fester in there. The only pest issue I've had is thrips, and I got rid of that pretty easily. The only thing I did for it is I used my homemade plant spray. That's a concoction of neem oil, water, a little bit of peppermint oil, and some Dr. Bronner's Castle soap. So I have a video on that, so follow the link at the top. I just spray it down, let it soak for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then I will wipe down each leaf. When I had the thrips, I actually think it's because I brought home a new plant. I didn't put it in isolation, so I put it near my plants already in semi-hydro, and I think it, yeah, it spread. But getting rid of it took maybe like a week or two. I just did the spray down with my plant spray, did it again like every other day until I saw no more. I am limited in space, and because of that, I'm not able to like separate the plants really far apart, and I need them to be close to the window together. It wasn't a big infestation. The ones that had thrips on it, I put a clear bag over it. Like I reused some bags that were around the house, basically tied it loosely around, like so it still could have some air, but I guess the leaves weren't touching the other leaves. What's the most annoying aspect of semi-hydro for you? The most annoying part of the entire thing is the transition. Transitioning plants to semi-hydroponics, because it gets messy. There's soil that gets everywhere. You have to wash off the roots as good as you can. I don't know, it's just a mess, especially if it's a bigger plant. So that's the most annoying. Other than that, I love it. Have you had any failures, and how many? I haven't had a plant die from transitioning it into semi-hydroponic. If anything, there was a plant I tried to save by switching it over to semi-hydroponic. So I was able to save my Monstera deliciosa by switching it over, but I had a failing Ficus audrey at one point when it was in soil, and it was already failing and dropping leaves, and I didn't know why. There were no pests or anything. I switched it over to semi-hydroponics, and then it died. So I wouldn't say that it died because I switched it over. It was already dying. It was in the process of dying, and I couldn't save it in semi-hydroponics. No deaths because of the transition to semi-hydroponics. Can you please update on the ratio of nutrients you're currently using? The general hydroponics nutrient trio, I do 1.5 milliliters each of all of them, and I haven't changed that. I just gauge it on how well my plants are doing, and my plants are growing well. They look healthy, so I'm just sticking with it, and I don't change it according to season. Have you tried any Rowstones or other media? Do you mean Lechuza Pond? For Rowstones, leca works well for me, so I haven't tried anything else, or I haven't really wanted to yet. Maybe down the road if I get bored. Have you tried any other brand of nutrients you like? I've only done general hydroponics. I'm still on my first bottles, as I said earlier, so no, I'm not just buying other brands to try out. The brand I use works really well for me, so I don't see a reason to switch over to another brand. Is it more difficult maintaining the upkeep of your hydro or soil? I feel like I'm boiling leca hella. It's not difficult maintaining plants in semi-hydroponics once you have made the transition and your plant is well adjusted. If you want to know what I do on flush days and everything like that, I have videos in my playlist to see how I do that upkeep. I have most of my collection in semi-hydroponics, and then a few in soil. Having the few in soil, it's not annoying at all because it's just a few. I just know that I have to check on that particular soil, so it doesn't make it difficult. So I would say overall, if I had my entire collection in soil, it would be more difficult to upkeep. For the part that says I'm boiling leca, are you boiling your leca every time that you flush it or something? If you're boiling the leca because you're transitioning your medium to a bunch of different plants, then that would make sense, but I don't know why you would boil so much leca. Boiling leca is a good way to get rid of some bacteria if you are using that leca for a different plant now, especially if it had root rot or something like that, then I would definitely recommend you to boil the leca. Have you had any issues with longer trailing plants pulling out of the leca? No, I have not. There might not be enough leca on top to hold it all the way down, and that may be why it's pulling out if you're having that issue, but I haven't had that issue. How have sansevierias or similar plants done in semi-hydroponics? They do well. I have one snake plant in semi-hydroponics. It is my moonshine sansevieria, and it is doing great. It grows well, and I have it really far away from a window, but it's still doing really well. Also, I have grown a cactus and a succulent in semi-hydroponics before, and it does well. Did you change all plants to semi-hydro at once, or did you slowly change them over? I am someone who can't be like, okay, I'm going to try out this one plant and then I'll slowly transition if it does well. I seriously did my Monstera deliciosa. That was my first plant, and quickly after I switched everything at the time. So someone asked if I would use the same nutrients in hydroponics slash watering setup for cacti and succulents as for other houseplants. Yes, I use the same exact ones. I don't change it up based on the type of plant. I know some people do. I just haven't found a need to because my plants do well. Have you tried it with any peperomias? Yes, I have. So I used to have a frost peperomia and I sold it when I moved over to this apartment. It did well. Transitioning it was a big pain in the butt though, because of the root system is so fibrous, so fine, and I had to rip out the majority of the root system in order to transition it over. But then it grew a new root system in the leca, as most plants do when you transition it to a different medium. I just sold it because I changed my mind about plants. Are your string of hearts in semi-hydro? If not, will you eventually switch it? No, my string of hearts are not. So I have the regular string of hearts and the variegated string of hearts, my baby. Both are still in soil because, I mean, they're drought tolerant plants. I barely have to water it as is. At the moment, I don't see a need to switch it over. When I move into our new home, which is in February and it's coming up, I'm so freaking excited. I'm gonna be hanging it up high, I think, and it's just less upkeep if I have to water it once a month or something. So for now, I don't have plans on switching it. Someone says, why is there rot on my leca? It always comes again, but the roots are healthy. So if the roots are healthy, that's a really good sign. Is it like white fuzz on top? That's happened to a few of my plants before, and maybe the roots still have some soil on it, so then it causes bacteria and some mold. Like the white fuzz that happens on top of soil sometimes happens in semi-hydroponics too, but it's not a worrisome thing. Like I've had some plants have that in the beginning when I first transitioned it from soil, so I think that's what it is. And then with more flushes, it doesn't come back. I didn't find that it ever harmed my plant. I would just continue your flushes. Do you have to fertilize plants in semi-hydro during winter time all season? Yes, I do, because having a plant in soil, your plant is still getting nutrients from that soil all year round. So, because what makes sense to me is that my plant would still need nutrients in the winter. Some people put less nutrients in the winter. I just keep things the same. That's what worked for me last year, and that's why I'm doing it the same this year, and it's worked out well. Have you ever experienced root rot in semi-hydro? If so, how did you prevent it? When you are transitioning a plant over to semi-hydro, what will happen with some of the roots are they will die off. It's gonna look like root rot, but the thing is, unlike regular root rot, it's not gonna continue to spread, or it should not continue to spread. That's something I would expect for the root shedding to happen, but you need to make sure that the plant is growing new roots at the same time. If it's all turning brown and mushy and then the leaves are turning yellow and it's looking like it's a failing plant, it's probably actual root rot. How to prevent rot from happening? I would make sure that you get as much soil out as you can. I know somebody asked if I have any plants still in soil, and yes, I just answered earlier that 2 of my string of hearts are still in soil. Still have my large Synapsis pictus exotica that's still in soil, and I just don't want to deal with it right now. My new pink princess philodendron is still in soil. I will probably switch that to leca down the road though. My large variegated monstera is still in soil. The only reason why I still have some in soil is because, like, if they're larger, more established plants, I don't feel like transitioning it, especially my variegated monstera, because I get a lot of questions on why I don't have that in semi-hydro. It's because it's such a tall plant. I don't want to make a moss pole for it. What I find annoying actually is, okay, so my fiddle leaf fig does really well in leca. Like, it's grown the largest leaves that it's ever had since I transitioned it over. It puts out new leaves and everything. The only thing I hate, flushing giant plants. It's not as simple as like just rinsing through like a 4 to 6 inch pot. So I don't like flushing that through, and then you have to mix so much more nutrients because obviously if it's larger you need a bigger water reservoir. I mean, I don't deal with it toppling over yet, but I feel like if it continues to grow taller, which it will, then I'm gonna have to find a way to make it more stable in the leca. For now, there's no issues because I have enough leca on top to kind of hold it down to stabilize. That is all of the questions. I have been talking forever and it's a little bit chilly outside, so I'm gonna go back inside. Thank you so much for your questions. That's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.